A Nintendo Switch Pro, a Nintendo Switch Revision, a new Nintendo Switch console. This seems like it's something that we have been talking about for a very, very long time now because, well, honestly, we have been talking about it, but I feel like we've been talking about it within good reason. We're not the only individuals talking about things like this. Major business publications, such as Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal, they keep bringing up this new Nintendo Switch model that is supposedly coming, and they always seem to give a little bit more information about this system and sort of what to expect from it. And I think it's been very interesting to follow this sort of cycle of the news that has been coming out about this Nintendo Switch revision. Of course, Nintendo themselves in their latest business meeting that took place on September 15th said that they were looking at cutting-edge technology to prolong the Nintendo Switch's life cycle beyond a standard Nintendo system's life cycle, which, if you've been following Nintendo, you know it's about 5 years or so. But so they're obviously looking at elongating that with the Nintendo Switch, and how else would you do something like this without introducing a new model of a Nintendo Switch system? Of course, Nintendo has already done a revision of the Nintendo Switch on the marketplace with the Switch Lite, which is a cheaper alternative. Of course, it doesn't go into docked mode or anything like that. It sells at $199.99, so there's really no sort of point in doing another cheaper version. Many people are expecting the new Switch model to be a premium system, something that can do something that maybe the standard Nintendo Switch can't do right now, as far as being able to do better graphics and of course have better visual fidelity. And of course, you got the PlayStation 5, you got the Xbox Series X coming out very, very soon, so it really makes for a good landscape for Nintendo to be at least considering a revision of the system. Now, last week on the channel, we of course talked about something new that we hadn't heard thus far about this Nintendo Switch revision, a new type of screen being used for handheld mode consisting of mini LED technology. Now, no, that doesn't mean that it's going to be like a super small screen or anything like that. Mini LED technology is essentially a hybrid of LCD technology, which is currently used on the Nintendo Switch and manufactured by Sharp, and OLED technology, which of course was in the PlayStation Vita in the first model of it and was the best PlayStation Vita model because of that. And basically what this mini LED stuff allows for is things like better clarity, more vibrant colors, better luminosity for contrast and brightness when you're playing these games in handheld mode. Now, this was originally reported by the Economic Daily News that Nintendo was looking at adding this to the Nintendo Switch in this revision, and they had met with Innolux, which is a Taiwanese-based company, to make it happen. So it seemed pretty cut and dry based on this report that if Nintendo was going this route, this is how they were going to be doing it. I guess it was going to be Innolux that was the company handling this. But then TCL came along with this tweet a couple days ago that made a lot of people scratch their heads, and the tweet is actually still up right now, and I've been sort of sitting on this tweet. I looked at the tweet and I was like, do I want to talk about this? Is there anything to this, or is this just a weird social media manager just being a weird individual? But the fact that I've sort of researched some of the things and sort of been piecing together a few different things, I've decided, you know what the hell, let's talk about this, because maybe there's actually more to this tweet than initially meets the eye. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with who TCL is, they're basically a TV and display manufacturer based out of China. I actually own two TCL TVs in my house. One is like, I think it's a 55-inch in my living room, and the other's a 49-inch in my game room, and I've honestly had them for a few years, and I think they're great, and you get a really good value with these TVs. And of course, they offer things like 4K and HDR support. There's different game modes, Roku built-in features, and a bunch of other crap that I don't really use on there. Now, yes, there's better TVs out there if you want to spend the money, but I think for the price that these TVs are, you really get a good value out of it, and they haven't let me down yet. So TCL basically put out this tweet a couple days ago and said the following: excited to see mini LEDs, which are award-winning 6 and 8 series TVs, make their way into the gaming world. Improved contrast and luminance will soon be in the palm of your hands. Now, they linked to an article done by Tech Radar, which is of course talking about the Nintendo Switch revision getting mini LED screen support. So immediately when this tweet went out, people were like, well, what the hell is this? Why is TCL even sharing this article? What sort of sense did this make? And, you know, what is going on here, really, essentially was the question that was proposed to us from this TCL tweet. Now, at first, I honestly thought nothing of it, really, because obviously it's an account ran by a social media manager. So honestly, I figured they would take it down whenever they realized what was up, but they never did. They've actually made subsequent tweets since then. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with them linking that article, but obviously they have been active active on Twitter to the point of where, unless they have their notifications turned off, they should know that people are questioning what this tweet is about, and it's really getting a lot of traction from people as far as the comment section is concerned. So that sort of struck me as odd that it still remains up at the time of the filming of this video, which is now November 1st. But let's see if we can find out more about this and essentially do some research on TCL, why they would have shared this tweet, maybe some sort of connection with other companies, because yeah, occasionally I do research on this channel, you know, surprise, surprise. So the Tech Radar article that is used talks about the Economic Daily News report that Nintendo is indeed looking at bringing mini LED screens to the Nintendo Switch, which of course a ton of different websites and a ton of different YouTubers already reported on. So why was this article singled out, and why did TCL decide to share this article? It even says right in the article itself that Innolux is supposedly the company behind it, not TCL, and TCL is actually never mentioned in this article once, thus making it puzzling as to why they would share this article that is simply just talking about a mini LED screen. But then again, mini LED is a super generic term right now when it comes to screens and things like that. It would be like saying, oh, this car has an engine in it, and then Ford and Mercedes both sharing the article, even though it's about a new Honda engine. Many companies are getting into the mini LED thing right now. It's pretty much being said to be the future of televisions and the future of displays. Samsung is saying they want to be the main mini LED company in 2021. Supposedly, Apple is looking at implementing mini LED technology into their screens. So I don't see why TCL would randomly share a generic mini LED article if it had nothing to do with them as a company. So then I got to thinking about some other things. Well, what if TCL and Innolux have a working relationship, and that's why they shared this article? So I did some digging around and basically found out that a couple years ago, TCL did actually have two TVs that utilized Innolux displays, but since then, they have just been focused on their own work with their own technology with displays and TVs, and they haven't worked together since. TCL is a Chinese-based company, Innolux is a Taiwanese-based company, and essentially in the grand scheme of things, they are competitors. They are both doing mini LED technology. They are both doing displays. So obviously they are competitors. It would be a lot like Ford and Mercedes talking about a Honda article. It really just doesn't make sense. So now really, I'm back to square one with this situation. I have this mysterious tweet from TCL talking about a Nintendo Switch revision getting a mini LED, in which the report is saying that a competitor is the one potentially manufacturing the screen, yet this article is getting traction from TCL themselves, and the article they share actually says mini LED without confirming a brand behind whoever is manufacturing this mini LED. And then all of a sudden, it sort of clicked in my head. Now, follow me on this because I think we might have actually discovered something here. What if Economic Daily News was right? Nintendo is doing mini LED tech in the upcoming Nintendo Switch revision, or Nintendo Switch Pro, whatever you want to call it, but they were wrong about it being Innolux, and it's actually TCL that is the company behind these screens. You would have to assume that Nintendo would meet with several companies if they planned on using this cutting-edge technology for a new Nintendo Switch. See what I did there? Cutting-edge tech, because Nintendo said that that's what they were using. And maybe Innolux was just one of the many companies that they ended up meeting with, but they decided to work with TCL at the end. And that's why TCL is indeed promoting this article, why they haven't taken it down, and has tweeted things since acting like business as usual, because they know that they are the ones behind the mini LED screen in the Nintendo Switch and not Innolux. Honestly, TCL is a company that makes sense to work with Nintendo. They both sort of have a similar mindset where you could get a good quality product at a cheaper price because maybe it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of more advanced products. Obviously, TCL stands to make a lot of money if they are indeed supplying the screen for the Nintendo Switch revision, and it is this mini LED technology that they are utilizing. So I would think they would want to sort of build up a little hype around this and sort of get people excited for it. I don't know, it's a very strange situation, and obviously you kind of have to piece together things that don't necessarily make sense, but I think the more you think about it, the more you sort of realize that maybe there is a reason TCL put out this tweet. Maybe there is a reason that they haven't taken this down, because at the end of the day, they're the company that are supplying these mini LED screens to Nintendo, and it's not Innolux. Obviously, I've kind of gone down this rabbit hole probably way deeper than anyone else has, and probably way way deeper than anyone else should have. But I do think it's interesting. I don't think that this necessarily confirms that TCL is behind the mini LED technology. We still don't even have confirmation from Nintendo that they are doing a Nintendo Switch revision. It's just pretty much a situation where there's smoke, there's fire, and there is a ton of smoke coming from companies like Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, and of course Economic Daily News. And the whole mini LED thing sort of added a whole new layer of smoke to this environment. So I just thought it was a very interesting topic and something that I sort of wanted to explore, because the more I thought about it, the more it didn't make sense, but then I kind of made sense of it. So I wanted to share my findings with you guys. But what do you think? Am I just way too deep down this rabbit hole? Is it really much to do about nothing? But I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to feel that way, because why would TCL put out this tweet in the first place? I don't know. It's a very confusing thing, but here we are and we are talking about it. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of this whole situation. Is the Nintendo Switch revision getting a mini LED screen? Because, well, that makes sense. It would look better in handheld mode. And is TCL the company behind it, and that's why they haven't taken down this tweet and shared this article? Or is it just a whole bunch of speculation based on absolutely nothing? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel as well. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.